And now, after years of planning, sweating, and going broke, here is the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle. Finally, a podcast that lets it all hang out.
Let's level with America.
Got your boots? Ready for some whiskey?
These boots are made for walking.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
And now, the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Boots and Whiskey Podcast. This is another installment of the segment I wanted to start at the beginning of the year of, and stories, feel-good stories. Here we are, getting close to the end of the month of January. We still have one more week to go in January, but our second to last guest for the month of January in this feel-good session is Kate Watson. Kate's story is really great. We had a great conversation not too long ago, and I've kind of put this one off for now because I knew I wanted to do in January the feel-good stories. So I think Kate's got a feel-good story. I think she's going somewhere. I think she's got what it takes to really catapult to the next level this year, in 2023. So, really without further ado, I want you to hear her story. I want to hear, I would love to really hear what you think of her, coming up and everything that goes with her. I think, she has a great team behind her. I really think, I know I said it before already in this segment, but I really think she has what it takes. She's got a voice that resonates. She really fits in with the scene that is right now. And I'm really, really excited to, share her story with you. So really, without further ado, Kate Watson, her story, it's great. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Whether you're listening on the podcast or here on Dirt Road FM, thank you so much for coming along this journey with us tonight. So God, really take this in because this is a great episode. I know I've said it a million times, right? But it is. It's a really, really good one. A big thank you to Kate and, her mom and everybody that is a part of this or got this going. And if you can, guys, if this is your first time in the show, thank you so much. Go follow our socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're everywhere. If you have anything you want to say or reach out about, feel free to, slide into those DMs and ask away and, what have you. We're always here for the independents. So, and everybody else really. So really, without further ado, our conversation with Kate Watson. We want to give a big shout out to our friends over at Off the Rails here in Worcester, Massachusetts at 90 Commercial Street, Worcester. They have the best food, the best music around. You will not go wrong. Go to their website, offtherailsworcester.com. You can see their lineup of shows. You can see their menu. You can see the local talent they have. Absolute fantastic people. We love being a part of the Off the Rails family, and we love having them being part of our family. Thank you so much to Off the Rails. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
Hey.
Hey, Kate. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for being on.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry it's taken so long to get here.
Oh no, don't even. You're busy. I get it. You're doing awesome things. I can't wait to hear your story because that's what this is. This show is all about you. There is no pre-planned questions. I'm going to let you tell your story, and as things come up, I'll jump in and ask along the way, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead and tell us who you are, what you're doing, where you're, all that stuff.
So my name is Kate Watson. I am a country artist, and I have been pursuing this professionally since I was 15 years old. And it has been an absolute crazy journey. And I actually started out whenever I was younger, watching my parents travel to all over to Texas, playing these different shows, church camps, and everything else. And I remember that being like the coolest thing ever as a kid,
Yeah.
and because I got to see music mean more to people than just words or notes or anything like that. Like it was bringing hope to people, and I thought that was amazing. But at 7 years old, you don't know how else to put that. But my parents are rock stars, and I want to be a rock star too whenever I grow up.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So were your parents in the music world?
Yes. So my mom, she played the drums, and I relate her to Animal the Muppet because she would sling her hair when she played the drums. It was so much fun to watch.
I've been talking to mom a little bit back and forth, and I knew I liked her because I played drums. I played drums for a little while through high school and stuff,
Oh,
and
that's so cool.
yeah, I never knew really how to play properly, actually. And I was in marching band and all that stuff, and that's exactly the way you described it is how I would play 100%.
And then my dad, he was the leader of the band, wrote the songs and plays guitar, sings, and he actually helps write all of my original songs.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And he's so talented. And actually, we just found out he won Texas Christian Country Songwriter of the Year
Wow,
through
that's
TCMA.
awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations to that. That's awesome.
Yes. Yes. We are so proud of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so, seeing mom and dad kind of do all this thing, and obviously that's what gave you the bug, right?
Yes. And
Now, go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say how did that shape, you as an artist? Did you see what they were doing and just want to emulate that, or how much of a fresh spin do you have on what you're doing compared to what you saw growing up?
I honestly, it started a fire inside of me whenever I was that age. Like, it was something I was like, man, like that's something I want to do. Like I want to be like my parents, which I also did get to see them go through the struggle, go through the hard work of what it takes to do all this stuff, but to pursue something that they loved. I saw that, and I've moved 14 times in my entire life. And, dreams like that get lost in life
Sure.
whenever things hit you. And I was always the new kid. I got picked on and was the easy target and everything else. And um, I just had a really, really hard time. And at I ended up just basically getting crushed, no dreams, no anything, and hit rock bottom in my life going through all of that. People tried to tell me who I was and what I should stand for, and all the lines that you draw as a person of what is supposed to be right and what is supposed to be wrong, and pushed me to a place that I never should have been at. They kept graying the lines for me, and I listened.
Yeah.
And so at 15 years old, I was just broken as a person. I didn't know anything about myself or what I wanted or anything like that. And it was so cool because God was able to pick me back up from there and say, "Hey, that dream that you had when you were little, that's what I want you to do, and I want you to do it for me." And just spoke into my life of, you are a masterpiece. You are beautifully and wonderfully made, and nobody can tell you different. And that you have a voice that no one can take from you. And so that's kind of how it all started. I was like, okay, like then that is what I'm gonna do. And I wanted to bring hope to people. I want to just be a light in the world with everything that I do, not just my music, but my life and all the choices that I make. And so I sat my parents down at 15 years old and I basically said, I'm not going to college. I'm going to pursue music full time.
Wow.
And I was scared to death, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because they said, Kate, we know this is what you're supposed to do and we'll support you 100%. And so to have that kind of support, is one of the things I'd say has gotten me through everything, every trial, every bump in the road, that has been an anchor for me of knowing that I have good support from people who love me and who I can trust in my life.
Wow, that's incredible. Because I know if at 17 I sat down to my parents and said, "Hey, listen, I'm I'm going to do this and not go to college," they probably would have locked me in my bedroom until I changed my mind.
Yeah, I expected the finger wag, like, no, you are going to college.
Yeah,
That was not my story.
that's awesome. And I think it's a testament to not only you but to the way you were brought up that you knew what you wanted to do, even at a young age, and you had the support there to do it. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, I can say this with full confidence. I am truly blessed with the family that I have.
Yeah, absolutely. Because and obviously you have, not forget, but your family aside, you have a great team because you're really killing it. I see the things you're doing, for the areas you're in, and it's you have numbers and reach that, most people could dream about. Hey everyone, don't forget to check out our friends over at the afterglowboutique.com. That's the afterglowboutique.com. Or if you're local, they have a great shop at 43 Main Street in Blackstone, Massachusetts. All Boots and Whiskey podcast listeners get 20% off at checkout with the promo code BOOTS. That's BOOTS at checkout for 20% off at the afterglowboutique.com. Check them out. Tell them the Boots and Whiskey podcast sent you.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get to that point? How do you have, 20,000+ followers on Instagram and, all these listeners on Spotify and all that? How did you do that other than obviously hard work?
It was a long, hard journey and process, but it's a thing of like figuring out your brand, figuring out this and that, and getting all the tools that you need in order to be successful. And for me, uh, for one, I started out like playing any show that I could. Like it was all for free. I couldn't pay anyone to play with me. Like my dad would play for free with me and stuff like that. And it just grew and grew until I was on American Idol in 2019. That gave me a little bit of a boost
Sure.
whenever Lionel Richie gave me a standing ovation, for singing his song. And then from there, I just kept going, pushing, working, and constantly, continuously building myself back up again and again. And to all the no's, all the doors closed, I had to keep pushing, like you can't let that stop you.
Right.
And so then let's see, was COVID in 2020? Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
So at that point, it was so scary because all this work, all this time, all this sacrifice, it was like shut down. Like you can't provide for yourself at all. You can't, make a living with what you were doing. Where's the world going to? I mean, there were so many questions in the air, but at the same time, I had this weird feeling inside of me saying, this is going to be your moment in your year. And I was just like, okay, like that is something really weird to hear when we just enter a worldwide pandemic, right?
Right.
And I'm like, but okay, like anything's possible. And having that like glass half full attitude, right? And I get the honor and privilege of getting to help lead worship at Lone Star Cowboy Church in Montgomery, Texas. It's the largest cowboy church in the entire world. And my dad leads worship there. Cody Johnson attends and actually does a benefit there every single year. And all this different really cool stuff about it. But basically, during COVID, we'd still lead worship. We'd still, all that different kind of stuff. And I didn't realize that Parker McCullum's uncle goes to my church. And so he was sending videos of me leading worship every single week to Parker saying, hey, this girl's a country artist. You need to meet her. You'll love her. We love her. And so, of course, like Parker didn't have anything going on either, right? And so he showed up one Sunday morning, and I did my thing, you know? And I had no idea that he was there. And after the service, I remember it so clearly. He just walked straight up to me and put out his hand and said, "My name's Parker McCullum."
Wow.
And I just was like in shock, like, holy crap. Like, I know who you are,
Yeah.
you know? And he said, "Kate, I came here specifically to hear you." He said there are tons of girls in Nashville and Texas and all over the world who can sing and who have talent, but you do something that can't be taught, and that's making connections with people. He said, "I believe you're going to go all the way, and I want to help you get there." And so he basically, like, just started mentoring me, helping me with connections, getting me set up with radio, all this different stuff, like listening to my songs, each and every one of them, and saying, "This one is the direction you need to take," and just so much time. And the whole thing just makes me like get emotional and want to cry, because for someone who does not have to take that time to put into some random person that they don't know, whenever they have everything going on and they're in the process of building their own name and their own career, that he took the time during one of the worst times for everybody to put into me and help me. And that I respect him so much, and I am just so proud of everything that he's doing, and I can never like thank him enough for everything he's done for me and my career. And as the pandemic came to an like a a what do you want to call it, a I don't want to say it was over, because it's not over.
Right.
you,
Right.
you know
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
opened back up. The careers, you were able to play places again and everything else. And um it's funny because I mentioned Parker's name, and that got me in the door at so many places. Like, uh for people who don't know, like, you need certain things in order to be successful in this industry. And some of those things, people may disagree, you may agree, that's okay. This is my version of it. um I believe you need connections,
Uh-huh.
you need money. You can kind of fudge on talent, but if you have talent, that's a very strong pillar. And then to have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And to have those four things, you will be successful. And so that's the one part that he really made strong, was my connections. Um, you know, because he is such a looked up to person and talented and everything else, that whenever you say that name, it holds so much value to people.
Yeah. It really
So,
does.
yeah. Um, so that helped so much and just started me off on this, like, because he told me, he said, "Kate, now is the time." He's like, "I've set you up with these different things. You have to do the work. This is the grind time. And whenever it's time, I will step back in and, like, you will open for me, and, like, I'll walk you into my label myself, those sort of things." He said, "When you're ready." And so that leads me to where pretty much I'm at now. Is this whole time I have hit the ground running. Whenever I'm given a task, a challenge, like, I I go after it. Like, I give everything that I have 110%. And I have basically recorded music in Nashville, building those connections, building my repertoire of what I have in music for people to listen to. I have a 6-song EP that is currently coming out. Cinderella Slipper was the first one of those. And I have, working on that, of like releasing.
Yeah.
Then I have another 6-song EP that I have that will come out after that. That I'm currently finishing up the recording and everything. And I'm so, 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 so excited. And then um I am playing all kinds of places and opening for people, including like Flatland Cavalry, John Wolfe, Kevin Fowler, Josh Ward, um, Deanna Carter, Pam Tillis. The list goes on, and I I'm just chasing every opportunity that I can to better myself, to build my career, to just work as hard as I possibly can, um, because that's that's what helps make dreams come true.
Also, don't forget our friends over at hogwashandrhinestones.com. Our good friend Ray is the owner over there. She makes incredible clothing that you've seen all over the place, from Nashville to Boston to everywhere in between. Some really big names have worn her stuff. That's Hogwash, the letter N, rhinestones.com. Check them out. Tell them the Boots and Whiskey podcast sent you. You won't be disappointed. Check them out. Hogwashandrhinestones.com. What? So you're doing a ton. To be able to have an EP coming and then another one in the works, like that's huge.
Thank you.
So when does Cinderella Slipper come out?
So Cinderella Slipper was actually dropped the day after my birthday, my birthday was September 8th. And so it dropped, it's out, the music video's out. And so the next one that'll be released is Remedy on October 28th.
Oh, okay, I see. So you're putting them out as singles first, right?
Yes. And
Gotcha.
then
Okay.
I believe what the plan is we're doing Cinderella Slipper September, right? Then it's Remedy in October with a music video, acoustic video, and story behind the song to also drop with that. And then we'll take a break during November, December. We'll come back January and release another one. And then I believe February, we're going to release the rest of the EP.
Awesome.
So.
Oh, that's great. That's a great way to do it. Because it's funny. I was talking with somebody the other day about their release schedule and how they did it and how they wanted to do it and all that. And I love just hearing everybody's their own plan, because everybody's is so different.
Yeah.
And I love that you just keep rifling out music, because it makes people, I think it makes people want to, stick around. And it's like, all right, well, if September's one, October's one, take a break for the holidays and then back at the first of the year, it's like, it gives people and your fans something to look forward to.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, here's an album that came out in September and there won't be any new music for another year. It's like, oh, okay, well, how many times can I listen to this album or whatever until I get sick of it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that you do that. I love that that's your plan and how that's working for you. That's so good.
Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
so excited.
Yeah,
These
you should be.
songs have been in like my live show, and so to take them and say like, hey guys, like you're finally gonna get it on like all of the platforms to listen to, you don't have to only be able to hear it at a live show, which I will say, the next 6-song EP, I have not added those into my set list just yet, and no one's ever heard them. So, there's some surprises in there.
That's awesome. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's definitely the way to do it. Now let me ask you, okay? Because we've had, and you mentioned it a little while ago, we've had a lot of people on this show that have either done The Idol or The Voice, in different shows like that. How was your experience with all of that?
It was unforgettable, and I'd say changed me for the better. I'll say it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
It just it pushes you as a person, and for me, I was 18 years old. I just turned 18 literally. And basically I was kind of just starting out in my brand.
Yeah.
And so to be in a place where you are around some of the most talented people in the entire world, like it's intimidating. It literally it shakes you to your core. And for my audition, it's taxing too because for me, I was one of the last people to go in Denver, Colorado. And they made me wait outside for 14 to 16 hours, but it was freezing outside. So, like my vocal cords are being messed with the air and everything else. And then I'm tired. I was there since 7 a.m. in the morning. I ain't a morning person, you know? And then whenever I go in there, I actually, some people don't know this, I had to watch the person go before me audition, and they told her no and sent her home. And she ran out crying. And I mean, I was like, oh, shoot. And they go, your turn. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
wonderful.
right, right.
So I was like, okay, this is a great way for me to enter into this room. And so I did. And I just went in there knowing like I'm here to just showcase what I love, the gift that I have, and just give them a piece of me, and that's exactly what I did. And Lionel Richie told me even at the audition, he said, Kate, I believe that you could win this whole thing. And he's like, and you're going to Hollywood. And I was like, holy crap. And if you ask my dad, because he actually accompanied me in there, played guitar for me and everything. And if you ask him, all he remembers is shaking Katy Perry's hand. That's all.
Oh yeah, I mean that's all I would remember too.
I don't know
100%.
if he's washed his hand yet, but
No, I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't blame him. That's yeah. So how far did you get in the Idol process?
I made it all the way to the end of Hollywood Week. And that part was even harder because they got us into a hotel and you shared a room with one of the contestants. So I didn't get to like be with my family, and I was in a strange environment. It was in LA.
Right.
And you're in this hotel, you're sharing a room with a person you have no idea who they are. But it ended up being cool. But they also have cameras on you like 24/7 whenever you're doing this. So anything you say, anything you do, any facial expressions, like they all matter. Like it all can be used. And you just have to be on your guard. You have to be ready. And you don't have room for mess ups. You don't have room for a bad day. Like you
Right.
cannot do that. I mean, that'll probably get you on the show longer, to be honest, but it's it's your reputation, it's what you want to be known for. And so that week I had to watch every person go before me. Like every single one. I watched them get on the stage. They did an a cappella song, and there were some amazing ones that, I mean, standing ovation. It was so awesome. And then I also watched people get up there. They decided to sing Lionel Richie's song, and he basically told them, get off the stage and do not ever sing my song again. And I already knew that I'd chosen his song, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this does not get easier, does it? And so then I went to get in line because it's closing in on my turn. And the people, what they had you do is you're right behind the curtain ready to go out. They have you in a line, you get 5 seconds. How do you feel? And then they push you on stage.
Yeah.
And for me, I am ready. I knew what I was going to say. I like rehearsed it in my head of like, okay, this is what I want. And, different things. Well, I get up there and I like take a breath, and they made a dirty joke on accident. And I mean, everything that I had planned just went out the window, and I was laughing so hard. And I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's like dying back there backstage. And then they shove a mic in my face as I'm laughing. And so everyone in the audience hears me just like hardcore, like not even just like a simple little laugh. Like I was dying, and they shoved me on stage. Kate Watson. I'm like, hey. And I remember I was like, oh shoot, like what do I do? And so I just started dancing, like what else do you do?
Right.
And so Katy Perry stands up, starts like dancing with me, and we were having a good time. And I make my way to the middle of the stage, and Lionel asked me, what song are you gonna sing? And I said, I'm gonna sing your song, Hello. And he told me, he said, this is either gonna be really bad for you or really good for you. And
No pressure.
yeah, no pressure. And I said, well, Lionel, it's go big or go home. And he was like, okay. So I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of blacked out as I started. Like, I have no idea, like, if I did a good job or messed up or was shaky or anything like that. Like, I do not know. All that I do know is that I came to as I finished, and then I see Lionel Richie standing up out of his chair and like clapping and like smiling at me and giving me a thumbs up. And I just like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I started bawling my eyes out. Like I was like, holy crap, is this really happening? And I ended up actually going home after that round. But I will tell you, I like that was a dream come true for me. That's all that I needed. I told my parents, I was like, if that's all that I get in life, I am okay with it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I don't blame you. You can't have a moment like that and be like, oh well, it should have been better. It's like, well, maybe, but it's also, when you get a compliment like that from Lionel Richie, it's you take it. You take it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. So now, have you thought about doing any of the other shows, whether it's The Voice or, Idol again?
I got contacted by The Voice right after I did Idol, asking me to do a private audition. And so I went, and it was pretty cool. It was hilarious because I had to audition, and then I had to run. I was in a commercial for Hurricane Harbor in Houston, Texas,
Yeah.
or Spring, Texas. And so while I was doing that whole commercial, I had red lipstick on because that's my signature, and I showed up to the audition with it. So anyway, that's a side note. This private audition for it, I was really excited. I did have like this feeling in me that it wasn't the right time. To be honest, I did not want to do another show for a good while. Like that was so much.
Of course, we can't forget our friends at the Dirt Road Scholar Supply Company out of Canada. That's drsupplyco.com. They have great stuff. All of the hats I pretty much wear, all the camo hats you see me wear either on TikTok or in pictures or whatnot, all come from the Dirt Road Scholar Supply Company. A big thank you to those guys out there. drsupplyco.com. Check them out. Canadian company. Great stuff. Check them out. Yeah.
I was still trying to build myself back up, because even though like it is it's it is, how do I say this, even though the show, like, it doesn't define or mean that you're a bad artist if you don't make it so far, it's nothing like that, but it still like breaks you a little bit,
Sure.
whenever you get sent home. It's like this journey that I was ready, and like everything is now over. you know it's like I don't feel like it's over. And so having to come home and like work through that in my head, and then to get asked to do this, and I was like, well, okay, if this could be a really cool opportunity, and I'm gonna just see what happens. And I sang several songs for them, and I mean, it was some producers from the show. They were jamming out, having a good time with me, and they did tell me, they said, look, we love you. We think you're amazing, but we do already have a blonde country artist. And so they're like, so we don't have any room for you on this season. And I was like, that's okay.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a compliment, and I honestly took it as a blessing. I kind of just wanted to continue working on myself and not get, tied into something at that point.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you always know when the time is right for things, for sure.
Yeah.
And if the time's not right, you don't do it, because then you're just putting yourself through something that, you're gonna put yourself through hell when you don't need to.
Yeah.
Now, so what is your plan now? Like, we talked about the music and all that. You know, you're doing your thing in the Texas and and down in that area. Do you have any plans to, branch out and come up to New England or in other places that maybe you haven't been to yet?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my whole goal is not to be just one area or anything like that. Like, I want to be worldwide. I want to share my story and with anyone that I possibly can and reach as many people as I can. So, I've already branched out to Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, California, all that beyond Texas.
Yeah.
Um, and Nashville, all of it. And it was really cool. So I mainly play with a band now. I started out doing like an acoustic trio, like at the beginning.
Yeah.
And now I have my full band. I take them with me everywhere. And I'm now doing ticketed shows, which is a huge leap for someone to be able to say, like, I headlined and sold this many tickets myself, you
Right.
know?
Oh yeah.
And I think that's the next part that I'm building with everything that I'm doing. Um, and so my first show in Oklahoma actually, maybe like a month ago or a month and a half ago, I'm not sure. But I played at the Duncan Theater in Oklahoma and I sold it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like cried.
I would have too. Hell yeah.
So, I'm also in Texas. I'm selling like these big venues that for me, it means a lot too because it's not just like, oh yeah, I sold these tickets. It's like, no, these people want to come and hear my show and listen to my music and want to keep coming back. And
Yeah.
that means the world to me. And so that's kind of my next goal is to branch out even more, to play as many areas as I can, get my name out there, and to like sell as many tickets as I can, build that fan base.
That's awesome. That's great. I love when I hear, artists that want to and have a desire to branch out, because some are, especially a lot of the Texas, artists, because Texas is such and it's an area all in of its own, right? Where,
Yeah.
you have your own, they play independent Texas artists on the radio, like they don't do that around here. You don't,
Yeah.
you're not going to hear independent artists on the local country stations, very often. Um, so I've noticed a lot of people in Texas are like, yeah, well, you know, we have it so well here, like why branch out,
Yeah.
And like I get that. I totally understand that. But it's good to see that you're branching out, and like you have a lot of things behind you, and I think they're all very positive things that will help you get that push.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, so we didn't go to college. We like I went with you. Um, so so do you ever, has there ever been a thought of, maybe I should do you, not that you need one, but do you have a backup plan if one day you decide, hey, I don't want to do this anymore?
I so since I was young and I decided that this was what I was going to do at 15, I told everyone. I said, because the older people would come up to me and they're like, well, you need to go to college, like what are you doing with your life and all
Right.
this different stuff, and you need to have a backup plan and you need this. And I would tell them respectfully, I love you guys, but I do not have a plan B because I know with all of my heart that this is what I'm supposed to do, and that every door open, every like whatever it is, what it's meant to be, I'm supposed to be on this path, and those right doors will open, the wrong ones will be closed. And I know for sure that I will be successful in this with my mindset, with just the fact that this is my purpose and what I'm meant to do. So uh, there is no plan B. This is my plan. This is my life, and uh, it's what I want to do. Because it's also I'm not just over here like, oh, I'm just gonna travel all my life and just play shows at these places, like
Sure.
it's more than that for me. I have things that I also want to accomplish throughout my life, including going on school tours. And I'm actually doing a little bit of that now. Um, and so I'm getting asked to go do a concert at schools and then share my story with the kids and everything else. And just this is a ministry. It's not just music and whatever else. This is my like for real like purpose in life. This is what I'm meant to do. I also want to start a foundation in the future. Specifics of that are not like, in detail yet, but I am currently working on that. And um, what I mainly want to do is be able to help people who are trying to pursue this career who don't have the money. Because that's something that honestly, I was not ever this person who just was born with money or whatever else. Like,
Yeah.
I started working when I was 14 years old and saving up my money. My first recording trip that I took back then, I paid for the entire thing myself, and all this different stuff. And I worked 5 jobs at one point to help keep this sustainable and keep it going. I actually have financial backing now because I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to put out before you get to put back in.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I want to do is be able to help mentor artists and help them whenever they don't have the money. So
Yeah. Yeah, because it does take a lot, right?
yeah.
It takes a lot to do what you're doing and be successful. And, like you said, you have to put it out before you can bring it in. And I think that's perfect. I think that's absolutely perfect. And you're 100% right on that.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here and telling your story. I think it's a great one, and it's not even close to being over. I think you have so much more to show the world, and I can't wait to see you absolutely explode, so I can say, hey, she was on my show. Because you have it. You have exactly what it takes, and I'm super proud of you and everything you're doing. I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I,
Oh,
I
hell
appreciate
yeah.
it.
Anytime. Anytime. Now, I told you I don't have questions, kind of prepared, but I do, we always ask what the boots and what the whiskey of choice is. So if you want to answer those, um, I'm sure you've never drank alcohol in your life because you're a nice, sweet young lady. So I totally understand.
Okay, so coffee is my drink of choice. And not just any coffee, it's white girl coffee. So
Double espresso, macchiato, venti. Uh,
um I actually have a Starbucks order that I get every time before a show. So I swear I'm not a typical white girl, but sometimes I like typical white girl things, you
That's
know?
good for you. Hey, at least right? And knowing is half the battle.
Yes, and I will tell you my order. Okay.
Let's hear it.
So it is a venti white chocolate mocha hot with 2 extra pumps of the white mocha syrup stirred with whipped cream on top.
Oh my God, you are the whitest white girl
I
in the
know.
history of white girls.
I
Holy moly.
know.
Whew.
I think it's just hot milk at that point, but that's okay.
Right.
It tastes
I,
so
I was
good.
going to say, Kate, I don't even think you're white anymore. I pretty much think you're translucent.
Yes, I think that's accurate.
That's awesome. Now, what about boots?
Okay. Now this is a hard question. Um,
Why is it, it's always the girls that are like, oh, that's tough.
because sometimes like boots, um, my favorite ones are like not like a name brand, they're
Yeah.
um
That's all right.
But I'd have to say that my favorite ones are Lucchese.
You know, I want to parrot Luke Casey so bad, but nobody's paying me to do this podcast. So,
Oh no.
so until that happens, I don't think Luke Casey's earned the budget.
Okay, one day I will buy you a pair of Lucchese boots, okay?
Listen, Kate, you've said it, and it's out there in the universe. You cannot take it back.
I'm a person of my word, so I got you.
Whew, wow, God. So if your team's ever hiring, we will join forces. That's awesome, Kate. I love your story. I think you're absolutely fantastic. Honestly, if she's listening, thank you to your mom. She's been awesome to work with, and you know, a little behind the scenes stuff. You know, we've had to like cancel and move things around a few times, and you know, typically when that happens, I never hear from the person ever again, or I forget or whatever. And your mom's been right on top of it, and she's been awesome to work with and plan out things, and she's been great.
She said thank you. She mouthed it.
Oh, good. Oh, I didn't know that was her. God, do you get that a lot where like if you answer the phone, somebody thinks it's your mom and vice versa?
No, actually.
Oh, well, that was the first time then.
They do think she's my sister.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Oh God, that's worse for your mom. Trust me. Trust me. Well, Kate, thank you so much. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. And honestly, if you ever, if you and your team ever have thoughts of venturing up in here into New England, we know a lot of people that we can get you in touch with and make that happen.
Absolutely. I will definitely take you up on that.
Sounds good. Awesome. Kate, thank you so much again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for taking your time to be here. And really, we wish you nothing but the best of luck. And anytime you want to come back to the show, please reach out and, come on back.
Thank you. Appreciate you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Well, there you have it, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I can't thank you enough. Without you, this show is not possible. So big thank you to Kate. Big thank you to her team. We appreciate y'all so much. I can't even tell you how much we do. And for everybody that's listening, as if this is your first time or your, 101st time or, whatever, we really appreciate you being here with us tonight with the Boots and Whiskey podcast. So thank you so much for that. Next week we have our last feel-good story of the month, I guess, right? Next week we will have Drew Nix from the Red Clay Strays on. I love this band. They're a great group. It was nice to be able to talk to Drew. Again, another episode we recorded a long time ago, but as I was going through things and figuring out how I wanted to start the year, I wanted to start the year on a positive note. And I just think the Red Clay Strays have a great story. So stay tuned for that. That'll be next week. Thank you again for tuning in. And really, that's it. Check out our sponsors. We got some big things coming up this year, like I've said before. So stay tuned. Thank you again for the support. And until next time, guys, keep those boots on the ground and the whiskey in the glass. Cheers.